Father, could you talk about the four temperaments? The sphere says it seemed like astrology, like the temperaments were like the sign of the zodiac that you were born under, and it would determine your life and future. What do you think about that, Father? The four temperaments.
Well, if the four temperaments were akin to the zodiac, then I would say no, you can't touch those things. But actually, they're not. They're simply they're just basically personality traits, and they're legitimate personality traits, kind of grouped together. You know, you have the choleric and the sanguine, and you have the phlegmatic, and you have the melancholic, right? I mean, these are the four classic temperaments. They each have personality traits that go along with them. And they tell you people are not just pure choleric. If they were, they'd be extremely incendiary. But anybody who's pure sanguine would be just partying all the time. And well, I guess there are people like that. They would tend that way. And if someone was a pure melancholic, well, they would just be always grieving and could hardly emerge from their rooms. You know, it's like they would be clinically depressed all the time. And phlegmatic people, they can't even be bothered to get up and go open the refrigerator to eat. They probably starve in it. But so, I mean, you have these character traits. I'm exaggerating, of course. People are a mixture of them, but we all can identify in others traits of being kind of a hothead, have a quick trigger, but also quick to react, maybe angrily, but also quick to get over things. Quick to react enthusiastically, but then kind of quick to let that pass too. Kind of characteristic of what they call a choleric, right? And same with sanguine. It comes from the word sanguis, or blood. And they basically just want to have a good time and relax. They're not workhorses, that's for sure. Okay, it's not nose to the grindstone. You give them a job, and you come back 10 minutes later, and they're having fun. You know, they found a way to have fun doing it, whatever it is. And of course, the melancholic is always kind of the woe is me, and kind of your classic pessimist, you know, and all is lost. But people are a mix of these things. So there's nothing wrong with them. And in fact, they can be very useful. If people understand them, and they understand rational psychology, human psychology, in the Catholic sense of the term. I mean, there's a whole study of rational psychology in scholastic philosophy, which is really a study of the soul, right? And the workings of the soul in this life, attached to the body. And it covers the passions, which are real things, and how they manifest themselves. It covers the sense cognitive powers. And so rational psychology is a very interesting Catholic study of human psychology. That's what human psychology really should be. Not all this phony mumbo-jumbo they teach you nowadays, as though they're almost trying to put your mind on a laboratory slide and put it under the microscope and poke you and see what they can make you do, right? Behavioral psychology and all the rest can really get off track. But true rational psychology, in the scholastic sense of the term, Catholic psychology, actually does try to understand the individual, starting with the standpoint of the rational, the spiritual soul. Mm-hmm. You might say, you know, there are different definitions of man. Man is a creature composed of body and soul, made in the image and likeness of God, and so on, right? But there is one definition: man is a rational animal. And that probably fits the definition that would be studied in terms of rational psychology. Catholic rational psychology. And these four temperaments are a good part of that, mm-hmm. to understand the different personalities.
Yep. Okay.
Can be helpful in parents in raising their children. Even parents who don't know the terms, choleric, sanguine, phlegmatic, melancholic, they know there are a difference in their children. And parents have the wisdom to know, okay, I have to treat, Paul different than the way I treat Peter. And not just because their different ages, but they have their own characteristics and different own personalities, and they react to things differently. Parents know this, and what they're actually doing is just applying that instinctively to the raising of their children to try to bring the very best out of them.